Hi, we are Group 4 and our topic is why Sephora sent the wrong samples. Sephora is a beauty retailer that sells both online and offline beauty related products. Sephora focuses on strengthening image and profitable growth by creating a quality experience, by blending their online and in-store experience and promoting brand engagement via social, mobile, and web platforms. Currently, Sephora offers 3 free samples with every order online to their customers. However, customers hardly get the right samples of their choice, and many feel disappointed and even cheated when they receive the wrong samples. When given the choice to choose 3 samples from 12 listed ones, consumers may have specific interest in buying particular samples and see if they like them. So we are trying to figure out when given the right samples, is customer satisfaction will be improved, and if we are giving them the right samples, will customer are more likely to buy the product that they have tried within 3 months and thus increasing the sales volume. As for marketing problems, we need to figure out the specific aspects the firm wants to improve. First of all, we need to identify whether this is a random error or intentional strategy. Now we know Sephora sending the wrong samples. Sephora have different customer segments. They have VIR, VIP, Beauty Insider, and no membership. These different segments have different probability of receiving right samples. If they did, this can be an intentional strategy. Otherwise, this is a random error. Secondly, we need to see whether purchasing was influenced by different conditions of sample service, whether sending or not sending sample influence total purchase within a given period. In our experiment, we set the time as 3 months, and as a new product discovery aspect, whether consumer did repurchase the product of a sample within 3 months. And thirdly, we need to see whether sampling had an effect on consumer satisfaction level. So we're gonna conduct a sentiment analysis on consumer reviewing data. This is the main strategy that we're gonna use to figure out the specific aspect that firm wants to improve.
Thank you, Jiaxin. In this part, I will introduce empirical strategies for those marketing problems. For the first problems, we came up an hypothesis that different customer segments have the same possibility of get the right samples. We need the data of their purchasing history, the delivery records of samples, and the loyalty levels of customers. Since both of those two variables are of nominal scales, so we can choose the crosstabs and chi-square test. If we can reject the new hypothesis with 95% of confidence, we believe Sephora intended to send the wrong samples to some customer segments. Otherwise, it's a random issue. The confounding variables in these questions is in-time sample inventory, since if samples has been sold out, all customer segments' possibility of get the right sample will decrease. For the next question, whether purchasing was influenced by different conditions of sample service, we concern two parts. One is customers' total purchasing amount. Another one is the new product discovery. We need the data of delivery records of samples, the total purchase amount within 3 months, and the purchase record of product that they have got the sample before within 3 months. We use the two types of models for the right or wrong samples and the total purchase amount relationships. We use the linear regressions to see the coefficient. And then for the right or wrong samples and the likelihood of repurchase, we use the t-test or the ANOVA test, since one of them are nominal and another one is interval. The confounding factors for this question is different possible motivations of customers to purchase some products, like the motivations or friends' recommendations. We also need an experiment to further explore the relationships between the sample and the new product discovery. We use three groups of customers. One control groups that Sephora just do what they do now. One treatment group that they send them the right samples, and another treatment group that they send them the wrong samples. Those customers are random chosen from different loyalty segments. This experiment can help us define the causal relationships and know does right samples actually induce the more purchase of product that they got the sample before. The confounding factors are likely to before the different possible motivations to purchase the product.
To test our third question of whether customer satisfaction level is influenced by sending random or right samples, we plan to analyze the customer reviews on Sephora website using text mining. The two types of classification analysis and sentiment analysis will be used. The former to classify whether right or wrong samples were sent to each reviewer who wrote about samples. Then, of those customer reviews, we will conduct sentiment analysis to find the emotional words that explains customers' satisfaction level, such as happy or unsatisfied, and conclude each document's sentiment as positive or negative. There are several confounding factors we expect to come across under this strategy. First, there may be a chance that the reviews are mostly reported by unsatisfied customers, which may distort our frequency of finding negative or positive reviews. Also, even though we hope to filter out the irrelevant reviews by chronologically conducting two types of text mining, there is still a chance of having reviews that relates our two target words, sentiment and sample, in a different way than we do. For example, there may be some reviews that express sentiments not regarding the problem of right or wrong samples in our dataset. Using text mining, we hope to find any substantiating evidence to the findings from experiment to answer whether sending right samples has significant impact on consumers' overall satisfaction level and leads to repurchase. With the empirical strategies explained before, we find four possible scenarios that Sephora could be facing, depending on our two questions. First, was a causal relationship found between samples and purchasing? If it was found, then consumers will be more prone to purchasing given the right samples. But if causal relationship was not found, we can conclude that samples in general are not as important as they seem. Second, was this intentional or unintentional? If it was an intentional strategy, Sephora would be either targeting certain customer segment, such as based on customer loyalty level, or encouraging new product discovery. If it was unintentional, Sephora is not necessarily paying attention to their sample service. We provide four possible directions corresponding to each scenario. If it was intentional and causal relationship was found, Sephora could find more optimal segment to target using RFM analysis and calculating ROMI for the projected target segment. If it was intentional and causal relationship was not found, Sephora should consider dropping its efforts regarding sample service depending on the cost associated with it. If it was a delivery error but causal relationship was found, this is the worst scenario for Sephora because it needs to conduct a massive analysis on its customer base to start figuring out whether it is best to target or not target specific segments, and if to target, then which segment to target. Again, RFM analysis and ROMI could be used to compare the costs of possible strategies and to find the optimal strategy. If it was unintentional and no causal relationship was found, then Sephora could seriously consider the most cost-efficient way to send samples, or even not to send samples at all because samples did not necessarily affect purchasing. This could be the least financially burdening scenario for Sephora.